Story recap here. Today I'll be explaining a horror and thriller film called 12-12-12. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The date is December 11, 2012. Inside a dimly lit room, a woman is strapped on a table with no clothes on as multiple individuals wearing ritual hoodies surround her. The woman wants to scream, but can't since a cloth covers her mouth. A cult member named Mahari pours blood and spreads it around her body while chanting an incantation. The woman can only cry as she awaits her fate. The man then takes a dagger and raises it. After some final words, he thrusts it inside the woman's stomach. The next day, December 12, 2012, inside a hospital, Veronica breathes heavily as the pain of giving birth weighs down on her. Her husband Carlos tries to calm her down while the doctor injects anesthesia into her spine. Veronica is shaking, panting, and screaming as she tries pushing her baby out, but the baby doesn't come out. So the doctor says they need to conduct a C-section since she's been in labor for more than 27 hours. Carlos won't allow them, but the doctor says it needs to be done. So he talks calmly to Veronica, saying everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Mahari is strolling inside the hospital, searching for something. Back in the emergency room, Carlos keeps getting in the way of the medical team as they prepare to conduct C-section. Annoyed, the doctor orders him to step away, so the nurse escorts him outside and shuts the door. With no more distractions, the doctor proceeds to cut Veronica open. As he does, blood starts spewing out. Thunder pours as the baby is finally removed from his mother's stomach. But suddenly, the baby latches on the doctor's neck, biting off pieces of flesh. The doctor tries to remove the baby but fails. He slowly collapses on the floor as he dies due to extreme blood loss. The baby then lunges towards the nurse and bites her neck. Veronica screams at the horrific sight of the nurse struggling to remove her baby. Unfortunately, like the doctor, the nurse slowly dies due to blood loss. As the police arrive, Veronica finally carries her baby, Sebastian, in her arms, as Carlos cries on her lap due to the unfortunate events that happened. 6 days after, the family returns to their house from the hospital. As they enter their house, they see roadkill which disgusts them. Later that night, Carlos goes to the bathroom and notices lots of dead flies all over his counter. He grabs a napkin and tosses the dead flies on the toilet, but as he flushes, it surprisingly brings more dead flies back up. Carlos takes the plunger and uses it on the toilet. He flushes it again, and the dead flies are gone this time. But as this happens, Mahari sneaks into his property and inside his house. Carlos decides to go out of his backyard to get some air. Veronica joins him, but they suddenly hear a peculiar sound. Carlos tells his wife to go inside and grabs a broom to protect himself. He sees Mahari inside his house, so he rushes toward him to protect his family. Carlos keeps yelling, saying there's an intruder in their house. He searches for the man, but he can't find him. Afterward, Veronica meets him in their living room, carrying Sebastian, and tells Carlos she called the police. After a while, the police arrive. Detective Barnes enters the house and says he doesn't see any intruder, so he decides to ask the couple about the incident in the hospital. Carlos tells him to check the security cameras, but Detective Barnes tells him that all cameras were strangely malfunctioning during the incident. Since Carlos has nothing to say, Detective Barnes calls it a night. Later that evening, Veronica wakes up as she feels something between her legs. She removes the sheets and finds Sebastian underneath. Veronica immediately goes to the bathroom to shower, while Carlos heads to the kitchen and boils some water. As he stares at Sebastian's eyes, Carlos smiles and grabs the boiling pot of water. Without hesitation, he chugs all of its contents until he falls to the floor and his saliva comes out of his mouth. Veronica hears the commotion, so she runs to the kitchen and immediately sobs as she sees her husband's lifeless body. She then notices that Sebastian is being taken, so she grabs a knife and races toward Mahari. As she reaches them, Veronica threatens to kill Mahari with a knife if he doesn't return Sebastian, but Mahari overpowers her, and she falls to the ground. Luckily, Veronica is able to grab Sebastian, but Mahari grabs her knife. As he's about to stab her, they hear police sirens arriving, making Mahari leave. Later, Detective Barnes introduces Veronica to Officer Vocal and says she works with social services. He tells her that Officer Vocal will take Sebastian for a while until the case is solved. Veronica refuses, saying she did nothing wrong, but Detective Barnes tells her that 3 people have died in 10 days. Veronica weeps, but ultimately surrenders Sebastian. After a while, as Officer Vocal is driving, Sebastian suddenly cries. She pays him no mind, but unexpectedly, her seatbelt is pressed on her neck, choking her. Officer Vocal tries cutting the seatbelt with a knife, but because of the car swerving, she drops the knife on the floor. After a few seconds, the car hits something, and Officer Vogel dies. The next day, Veronica arrives at her sister's house, where she decides to stay. The two immediately hug, and Gabrielle escorts Veronica to the living room. Meanwhile, Detective Barnes arrives at the site where Officer Vogel crashed. He sees Officer Vogel dead in the driver's seat, while Sebastian keeps crying in the back seat. Back in Gabrielle's house, the siblings hear police sirens, so they rush outside to see what it's all about. Gabrielle sees Detective Barnes pull up in her driveway, so she rushes to him and angrily asks if he was the one behind Sebastian being taken. But Detective Barnes gets out of his car and grabs Sebastian from the back seat. Veronica rushes to her child as she reunites with him. Detective Barnes then tells Gabrielle that the judge awarded her full custody of Sebastian. The next day, Veronica sees a shadowy figure through the window. This makes her lose it and rush outside, yelling for her son. She sees a cell phone on the ground amongst a pile of phones and picks it up. There's an incoming call from the number 12 12 12 12 12, so she answers and asks who's calling, but the caller keeps telling her that he's Sebastian, making Veronica drop the call and head to her son's crib. Luckily, Sebastian is merely inside his crib sleeping. She retreats to the sofa with Gabrielle, saying everything's alright, but her sister suddenly turns into Carlos, who proceeded to have his way with her aggressively. Veronica keeps crying and begging him to stop. Luckily, Veronica wakes up and immediately heads to Sebastian. She picks him up and realizes it was all a dream. Meanwhile, Mahari is sneaking around the perimeter, looking for a way to get inside. Veronica sees him through the window, so she grabs a knife and immediately barricades the door. Mahari keeps banging on the door and saying that Sebastian doesn't belong to her. Veronica begs him to go away and calls the police. Suddenly, the banging turns into knocking, and she hears a different voice, telling her that he has a delivery for Gabrielle. Veronica slowly opens the door, signs the document, and takes the envelope. As the delivery man leaves, he calls his friend and tells him he just saw the world's ugliest baby. Before reaching his car, he sees a dead animal on the road. As he sits, his expression suddenly goes blank. He then takes a cutter and starts piercing his neck, causing him to die immediately. Later, Gabrielle returns, and Veronica gives her the envelope. She then tells her sister that the man stalking her came earlier and that she had already called the police. As she says this, they hear police sirens, and Gabrielle welcomes Detective Barnes inside her house. The detective shows them pictures of possible suspects. He shows them the picture of Mahari, and Veronica instantly identifies him as her stalker. Detective Barnes puts the pictures away and proceeds to look around the property for any signs of Mahari. During his search, he sees a dead rat on the pavement. Detective Barnes smashes it with his shoe and returns to the siblings. He then informs them about Mahari being a big believer in doomsday and the world's end. Detective Barnes assures them that additional officers will be placed outside their house to monitor them 24/7. The detective leaves, and Gabrielle goes on a rant about how stressful the situation is. She tells Veronica it might be karma, because she wasn't there when she lost her daughter. Veronica tells Gabrielle it's not about her daughter, making her walk away. That night, the police assigned to monitor the siblings arrive. As he parks his car, he sees a dead rat on the ground, which weirds him out. Meanwhile, Veronica is packing her things inside the house and looks in the mirror. Surprisingly, her reflection portrays a different image. Veronica sees herself smiling and saying how a failure she is. This horrifies Veronica as her reflection now starts laughing maniacally, so she covers her eyes to calm herself down and steps away from the mirror. Meanwhile, Gabrielle gets out of the shower and is rubbing lotion on her legs when she sees Sebastian staring at her. She storms to Veronica and tells her Sebastian is a creep for staring at her. They start arguing, but as Veronica goes to Sebastian's crib, she notices that he isn't there. Suddenly, Sebastian comes from behind and bites a piece out of Gabrielle's heel, causing her to fall. He then latches to her neck and starts biting it off. Veronica screams in terror as she sees her son killing her sister. The officer hears the commotion and gets out of his car when he notices a baby approaching him. Suddenly, Mahari stabs his neck from behind, and as the officer falls to the ground, he quickly escapes the scene. Veronica sees the dead body of the police officer and frantically calls the authorities. Meanwhile, Sebastian crawls away from the house and reaches an unpaved road. A passing woman sees him and calls the police to report that a baby is alone near the cliff. After the call, she bends down and looks at Sebastian closely. The woman suddenly has a blank expression and drops her phone on the ground. She gets up, smiles, and goes to the cliff's edge, where she drops off, dying upon impact. Later, a dead crow falls on a field where a woman named Barbara is searching for Sebastian. She sees him, so she covers him in a blanket and lifts him. Barbara takes him away and brings Sebastian to her home, wherein she introduces him to Kayla. They notice that blood covers Sebastian. so Barbara tells Kayla to prepare a bath for him. So Kayla goes to the bathroom, and as Barbara attempts to carry Sebastian, he bites her hand, making her screech. Suddenly, the two women let out a blank stare, making Barbara proceed to the bathroom. Barbara then blocks the drain in the sink, fills it with water, and drowns herself in it, killing herself. As this happens, Kayla takes Sebastian outside the house and places him on the pavement. She tells him it's an honor to be a part of this, and proceeds to remove a hose from a gas cylinder, releasing highly flammable gas into the air. Kayla goes back inside the house. She opens the microwave, places a fork inside, and sets the timer to 12 seconds. The timer counts down, and as it reaches 0, an explosion happens, covering the house in a raging fire. The date is December 21, 2012. And Veronica is running in the streets looking for Sebastian. A homeless man stops her and says, "Let it go." He holds up a sign saying, "Repent, the end is near." So Veronica shoves him away. Unfortunately, the homeless man hits the edge of a cart, causing him to go down and grimace in pain. Veronica continues running until a priest grabs her and says he needs to help her. She's confused as the priest holds a cross in front of her and starts saying incantations. A man notices the commotion and gets the priest away from Veronica. The priest leaves, so Veronica also leaves, saying she needs to find her son. She faces another roadblock as a male teenager gets in her way while inviting her for a drink. Veronica shrugs him off, but another male teenager gets in front of her. He tells her not to mind his friends and proceeds to grab a gun out of his bag. The young man shoots his friends and then starts murmuring something before shooting himself in the head, making Veronica scream. She continues her search when Detective Barnes calls her, so Veronica answers and tells the detective where she is. They meet that night, and Veronica enters Detective Barnes' car. During the drive, the detective tells her that Mahari's cult might think that Sebastian is the chosen one sent from hell, which is why he keeps stalking her. Veronica is distraught upon hearing this, but Detective Barnes tells her to calm down and breathe. They arrive at their destination, and Detective Barnes gets out of the car. He tells Veronica to stay put as he sneaks inside the building. With his gun drawn, the detective goes through the door and sees Mahari and other cult members performing a ritual on Sebastian. Unfortunately, as the clock strikes midnight, Sebastian transforms into a grotesque-looking baby and lunges at Detective Barnes, biting his neck. Mahari smiles as he sees the detective struggling against Sebastian and slowly dying. As Detective Barnes dies, the cult members go outside and surround his car, where Veronica is. They peek inside, but Veronica is tucked on the floor as she holds a shotgun to protect herself. Veronica ultimately gets out of the car and points a shotgun at the cult members, threatening to kill them. A female cult member steps in front of her, daring her to shoot, but Veronica is too frightened, and as she tries shooting, no bullets come out since the trigger is locked. Another cult member takes a shotgun away and hits Veronica with it, knocking her out. As she wakes up, Veronica realizes she's tied up to a chair with Mahari in front of her. He removes a cloth from her mouth, and she immediately asks where her son is. But Mahari adamantly tells her that Sebastian isn't her son. He then calls for Sebastian, who immediately enters the room. Veronica weeps as she sees the grotesque appearance of her son. Mahari says the prophecy will be fulfilled and orders Sebastian to kill his mother. Veronica sobs and begs her son not to hurt her. As Sebastian gets near Veronica, two police officers announce their arrival, making Veronica scream for help. Mahari slaps her and orders Sebastian to kill the officers. Upon getting no response, the police officers exit their car and head to the building. As they get inside, they see Detective Barnes on the floor and check his pulse. Unfortunately, he's already dead. They keep calling for the cult members to turn themselves in when something suddenly bites one of the officers' arms. The policemen call for backup and decide to head out. Out of nowhere, a female cult member appears and stabs the police officer. Luckily, the other officer is able to shoot the cult member in the head, killing her. But as the police officers get near the door, it closes in front of them. Suddenly, Sebastian charges into the officer and latches on his neck, making the officer fall to the floor. Meanwhile, Mahari slices Veronica's face using a dagger. As he is about to deliver the finishing blow, Veronica untangles the ropes tied to her wrist and kicks Mahari away. She then grabs the dagger and stabs the two other cult members inside the room. Veronica drops the knife and escapes. She sees the police officer and tells him not to shoot. The officer leads her to the door, but Mahari arrives holding a dagger. The officer warns him that he'll shoot if he comes closer, but Mahari doesn't listen, so the officer shoots him in the shoulder. Sebastian immediately lunges at the officer and bites his neck, making him backpedal. The door opens, and Veronica grabs Detective Barnes' keys before going out of the building. She rushes to the shotgun and attempts to unlock the trigger using the keys. Mahari then reappears and slowly moves toward her. As he lunges at her, Veronica unlocks the trigger and shoots Mahari. This catches Sebastian's attention, so he immediately heads to Mahari, who orders him to kill his mother. her. Veronica points a shotgun at Sebastian while begging him not to listen to Mahari. Veronica weeps at the thought of shooting her child, so she drops the shotgun. But as she does, Sebastian lunges at her and goes for her neck. The priest arrives while Veronica is on the ground and starts saying incantations. Sebastian turns his attention to him and bites the priest's neck, killing him. As Veronica lays on the ground lifeless, her eyes suddenly open.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.